In today's episode, we discuss healthy body image versus a healthy body, because they are not the same. We share why we feel the body positive movement has a darker, more worrying side that would lead to a nation with seriously poor health down the line.
We feel that this is such a necessary conversation because we feel a duty to create awareness so that more people can live not just a long life, but a great quality life full of health and happiness. Hi, I'm James Davis.
And I'm Claire Davis.
We're the Midlife Mentors, here to lift the lid on how to achieve health and happiness.
The balanced, no-nonsense way.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Midlife Mentors with me, James.
And me, Claire. How are you all? This is the second time we've recorded this podcast, isn't it, darling?
Technical malfunction.
Yes, apparently it wasn't his fat fingers at all, but we recorded this podcast a little while ago.
And it was amazing.
It was amazing. This one's going to be even more amazing. But we recorded it, and then I heard James, as I was about to jump on a coaching call, I could hear James swearing his head off, and apparently it hadn't recorded.
Equipment failure.
A James failure, bless you. So if you haven't listened to our last week's podcast, we really, really encourage you to go and take a listen. And why is that, James?
It's with the amazing Rod Boothroyd, therapist and shadow worker. And we talk there, we explore the archetypes, the main archetypes that are used in shadow work. And, you know, shadow work is a personal journey that I'm on. I'm finding it so helpful to face those hidden parts of me and really empower me to move forward. So I think anyone can benefit from it and everyone can benefit from it. So I'd encourage you to go take a listen to that if you haven't already.
Yes, I've just come off a coaching call actually, and the lovely lady that I'm coaching said that she listened to it a couple of days ago and just found it fascinating and really helpful actually with the work that we're doing together. So yeah, as James said, go and take a listen to that. And also, you went away. You left me for the weekend, didn't you?
I did. I was away with an organisation called the Mankind Project, which is all about empowering men and reclaiming the very heart-centered masculine. So it's about being, a heart-centered leader, a heart-centered warrior, about facing your shadows and going forward into the world to do good with a positive intent. And I've got to say, it was a very intense experience, but the most amazing. I feel very privileged to have been able to go through it.
And I have to say, I was actually invited on I hope I'm allowed to say this, but I was invited on an online group call as James's partner with all the rest of the men that had been part of that, the staff and everything. And my goodness, I get emotional just talking about it because it was the most humbling experience to witness all these men coming together to level up to the best version of themselves. It was, I will always say this, men get a bad rap in society and not for, obviously for valid reasons to a degree, but also I don't think we can tar everyone with the same brush. And I think there are lots and lots of men out there that are doing the hard inner work in order to show up as the best version of themselves. And it gave me so much hope and so much pride to watch those men, but also so much pride in James to do what he's did. I think it's remarkable. I think this is really brave and really courageous of James and all these men to do this work, because it's been shunned. It's been, lots of people have, tried to put these men down. Personally, that's how I feel. And it's really, really wonderful to see them all opening up in this way.
It is. If you'd like to know more about that, you can Google Mankind Project. But if you wanted to reach out to myself, then just drop us an email, team@the-Midlife Mentors. I'm happy to kind of point you in the right direction to learn more about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I was left on my own. So I had a lovely weekend on my own, actually. I bimbled. I love that. I bimbled and bumbled around and just had a lovely, lovely time. But it was nice for James to come back and share what he'd learned and the growth that he'd experienced. So really lovely. But so we are today going to talk about how a healthy body image differs actually from a healthy body. And now this has come about because we feel super, super passionate about always having the hard conversations, the conversations that other people might be thinking but not necessarily speaking about. And it's because it comes from, it's not coming from a place of ranting, it's coming from a place of love. It's coming from a place of passion for everyone living in their healthiest, happiest versions as possible. Now, the media, I understand, obviously, in the 80s and 90s, we had very skinny, very stick-thin models, especially in the 90s. We had Heroin Chic, Kate Moss, all of those sorts of women. And it created an incredibly bad body image for a lot of women, right? And what we see in the media today is really fantastic. We have a much, much more grounded, better body image. I know a lot of us women have much better body images because the media is promoting larger women and obviously larger men as well. However, what I feel like we are slipping potentially into something quite dangerous here, because although these women, I'm talking about women, obviously James can come from a male perspective in a second, but these women that are overweight, clearly very overweight, clearly obese, they're being heralded as well as being healthy. And the problem is that kind of body, it's not a healthy body to live in. So it's great that we're promoting a healthy body image, but the body itself isn't healthy. And I think that there's come a lot of confusion. And I think we're going down a quite dangerous route by keep promoting the fact that image is healthy, physically healthy, because it's not.
I think we're being misdirected at the moment. Actually, I'd be that bold. And Claire, you referenced there, obviously, the 80s and 90s and stick thin models, but even at the time, there was a counter narrative to that. People were like, this isn't a good thing. There was awareness that it wasn't realistic. It wasn't a good thing per se. And actually, if we look at the stats, there are way more people that are overweight than are underweight. I'm not trying to detract anything from anyone that is underweight or has eating issues. It's a very serious condition, obviously. But way more people are overweight with all the health risks that brings. And what's happening now is there's not a counter-narrative to that.
We're not allowed.
We're encouraging it. We've got the body positive movement saying, it's great to be bigger. It's great to be obese. And I've got a real issue with this. When we look at the media, there was a women's magazine, I can't remember what it was, it had the top fitness
Cosmo,
influencers.
Wasn't it?
I think it might have been. But over a third of them were obese. And here's my issue with it, right? I get it. On the one side of the coin, if we're encouraging people who are overweight or obese to actually, get in touch with their bodies, go and work out, go to the gym, get in shape, that is great. And if they've got role models, they feel comfortable doing that, amazing. But, if we've got a role model that's a size 18, 20, right? And then, years down the line, they're still an 18, 20, their body shape hasn't changed. That is not a positive role model. We should be heralding people that start 18, 20 and they're down to a 16, a 14, Then we can applaud that. It's wow, you've taken a grasp of your health. I'm not talking about aesthetics here, and you've made progress. Instead, we're seeing people, and we saw it in this article, influencers actually holding their rolls of fat and laughing, going, hey, how great is this? Look at my rolls of fat.
But it's
not a healthy thing to have in our lives, and it's normalising being obese and overweight.
Yeah, absolutely, and it is normalising it. And here's the thing, we cannot deny the studies, the scientific facts that actually being overweight and obese puts a massive, massive strain on our body, a massive strain on our health. Heart health, diabetes, early death, Alzheimer's, all, it puts a huge pressure on the NHS as well, right? So I am very, very concerned that we're bringing up a generation of men and women that have these role models and that they do think, like James said, that they think it's healthy and okay to continue to be overweight and obese and ruin their health. And we do feel like it's our duty to create awareness around this, because I feel like we're kicking this can down the road, and I don't think enough people are speaking out about the fact that this is a dangerous narrative.
Entirely. And listen, the research bears this out, right? There's been lots of studies looking, can you be overweight? Can you be obese and healthy? Can you be fat and fit? And all of them are like, no, absolutely not. Yes, you can be obese and get to a certain level of fitness, but like all the other markers are negative. Like Claire said, heart disease, diabetes, strain on your joints, inflammation in the body, all these things going on. So the kind of fat and fit is a complete myth. And I think we are in danger now of normalising this. We know we have an epidemic. It's like around 2/3 of UK adults now are overweight or obese. We have a children's obesity epidemic, and we're reinforcing this messaging. Unlike the 80s and 90s, where we're like, yeah, these models are thin, but it's not a good thing. Where it's like, oh, these models are big and it's a great thing, go for it.
And we're being cancelled out from not actually being able to speak about this, because I actually did. I mean, it's really interesting. I did a video on this on my Facebook, and I normally get some engagement. I got literally no engagement on that, and I truly believe, because we do know that the narrative that the media wants us to talk about is the narrative that is allowed out there, and I just don't think that this is something that we are allowed to talk about enough, and I think that it's incredibly damaging and dangerous.
Yeah, I'll give you an example. I'm in groups with journalists, and someone put a call out saying, I want to write opinion piece on body positive. I'm looking for people to contribute, and I contacted the journalist privately and said, I'm happy to contribute, but like coming the other way, going, I don't think it's a good thing.
No one's allowed to.
And she actually came back to me saying, I totally agree with you, but I'm not allowed to write that. My publication just simply won't even entertain it. We have to be seen to be pushing this agenda of plus sizes and positive, and it's great. It's not great. We live in a poor food environment as it is. We know there's a study out from Harvard a couple of weeks ago that basically showed, your chances of long COVID effects are more than halved if you're fit and healthy. Kelsey Priest, one of the main indicators for having complications with COVID, there was age, there was underlying serious illness, and there was obesity, but they never publicised the obesity because it was deemed too controversial to do it. But I think we have to get this out in the open and have to start talking about this and go, yes, we want to inspire everyone to start their health and wellness journey, but we need to inspire them to make a progressive journey, not a regressive journey where they're actually damaging their health.
Well, because also, we are living longer, although there's been studies out that are saying that we're the first generation that isn't living longer, but, we are living longer. With modern medicine, we can dose ourselves up with pharmaceuticals, and, if we have these issues with our health because of obesity, overweight and obesity, we can have these pharmaceuticals, we can be on tablets, we can do this and everything for the ailments that we get, but the quality of our life is absolutely shot to pieces. So, and I think that's really, really important for us to say this, because we do want people not just to live a long life, but a happy one that's a great quality, healthy, happy, that they can make memories with their loved ones. And the way things are going, if we just keep heralding this as the norm, then less people are going to be able to experience that. And don't even get me started about whether that's actually what they want, because, all these people are on pharmaceuticals and they're getting kickbacks financially constantly. We've got a whole society that relies on pills rather than looking after themselves. And this is where we need to start taking responsibility, because I think we're also in a society where people aren't taking responsibility for themselves. They're, devolving responsibility for looking after their own health. And, here's the reality is if we eat less and we move more, we are going to become healthier. And just no one seems to be promoting that. And that the narrative of, healthy body image, there is the flip side that is incredibly dark.
Yeah, I think, again, at the end of the wedge, we're seeing doctors now in the US start to promote the idea that obesity is actually a medical condition that should be treated with medicine rather than, with lifestyle factors. And again, the causes of obesity are complex, and they are rooted in psychological facts as well. But I think it is lazy to just necessarily blame those all the time. If we look at previous generations, people could say things like, trauma causes people to be obese. Well, think of the trauma of living through the Second World War, of your husband, your brother, your father going off to fight, not if they come back, having your cities bombed. That's trauma, and people we're not triggered in the same way to kind of overeat like that. It's about reclaiming that responsibility. You know, it's absolutely, yes, there's a tiny, like, micro percentage of people where there is a medical reason, and naturally some people will find it like easier to put on weight than others. It just means you've got to try a bit harder and adjust. But the fact is, we have to reclaim our individual responsibility for looking after our health. Once we devolve it, we're giving away our sovereignty, and that is never a good thing.
And here's the thing: if we're doing that as parents, you know, like James alluded to earlier, you know, the rate of obesity in children now, we have to be good role models. We have to be, you know, as parents, you know, it's really, really important that we start teaching our children about healthy role models, a healthy relationship with food, a healthy life balance. And I just really, really worry that this, you know, healthy body image is being overlaid with a healthy body, because they are not the same. When we have a huge amount of visceral fat, which is the fat around our organs, we are really, really at risk of all of these diseases, increased cancer, heart health, diabetes, all of that, and not being here to see our children grow up, our grandchildren grow up. So I think it's really, really important that we have this conversation and we're not cancelled out all the time.
Exactly that. Well,
So
I hope that inspires you. We'd love to know your thoughts on that. I know that's not going to resonate with everyone.
Yeah, that's okay. That's okay. You know, like we do feel like we have that duty to create awareness around this, not because we want us to sit here and point fingers and rant. It's because we deeply, deeply care and we deeply love and we want to make a change, because we think it's important. And to just sit back and not discuss this wouldn't be us being in our sovereign power at all.
Exactly.
So let us know what your thoughts are on that. All that's left to really say is, if you enjoy our show, if you find it useful, it's amusing, it gives you food for thought, literally, if you can, pay the only fee that we ask, and that is to like, share, subscribe, this podcast, share it with your friends, share it around, because, you know, we don't pay for advertising. We don't advertise this show. We don't take on sponsorship for this show, because actually when James and I listen to podcasts that are full of adverts, it really, really messes up my enjoyment of listening to it, and we don't want that for you. So we don't take sponsorship. We don't ask for any other fee, apart from the fee being that if you find this helpful and it inspires you, motivates you, gives you food for thought, please do share with your friends, give us a review and subscribe.
Yeah. Okay. Until next time.
Sending you lots of love. Bye.
Bye.
Yeah.
You've been listening to the Midlife Mentors with Claire and James Davis.
We'd love to hear from you. So drop us a line at info@themidlifementors.com with any questions or topic suggestions.
And make sure you join us on our Facebook page and YouTube channel. You can find us under the Midlife Mentors.
Yeah.